You're listening to The Three Pillars of Success, a podcast that inspires people of all walks of life to gain perspective on what it means to succeed. My name is Geraldine Convento, and I'm best known for entrepreneurship, my skills in web presence, and SEO. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show. Hey y'all, how you doing? It's me, Geraldine Convento, the entrepreneur guide, web, and SEO expert. And today we're recording for the Three Pillars of Success podcast with my best friend, Hip. How you doing?
What it is. I'm smooth right now.
Share with our audience. Who are you, where you from, and what do you do for a living?
Who I am. I like to say I'm a spirit having a human experience. You know what I'm saying? And where I'm from, I'm originally from Roxbury, Boston, Mass. All right. And for those of you who don't know, for context, that's the home of New Edition and Bobby Brown. What I do for a living is I work with people coming home from jail and prison, doing what we call restorative reentry, where we provide people with case management from a restorative justice lens. Also providing people with guaranteed income. That's money that people are guaranteed to receive every month as a returning citizen to help people get back on their feet. I also own my own restorative justice consultation and training business, and I have my own music publishing company where I rock with music in a myriad of ways. I'm talking about music production, music licensing. I even have a restorative justice curriculum that uses music, particularly hip-hop, to address different issues like the male role belief system and healing from the legacy of slavery and historical and personal trauma.
What do you do for fun?
My main get down for fun is fishing. It's actually meditative for me. If there's an ocean, a lake, a river, a puddle outside, I got my fishing rod and I'm in it.
What does success mean to you?
That's a deep question. What does success mean to me? Actually, I think success means progress. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about business endeavors or career goals and whatnot. I'm also thinking about social movements. Like you've made some forward movement.
If you were to choose three pillars that you attributed to success, what would they be for you?
The first one would be to set your sights on what you're aiming for, which I guess you could call a goal, right? That's where you start. And then maybe you can even reverse engineer that. Imagine yourself at the goal and then plot out the steps that you need to take to get there. The second would be endurance, you know what I mean? Because you need that drive to sustain what it is that you're doing. Because let's keep it funky. We can get complacent. We get complacent all the time, right? You get caught up, you get distracted. And this could even be about things that we're passionate about. Even being impacted by the news of the world, the things that are happening in the world. You really have to have some endurance out here. So shout out to everybody who maintains and endures in the face of what we're dealing with out here in the world today, because it's bugged out here. And lastly, and probably most importantly, would be to make sure that your values are aligned with your goals. So if your values are righteous and solid, you're not out here doing harm to others or exploiting others and whatnot, you're going to get back quality. Not only will you produce quality, you'll reach your goals, and you'll be aligned with what you believe in. And you'll be bringing some true value to the world. At times I wonder, about some of these corporations and some of these billionaires and whatnot. I wonder how aligned their values are or are not with all the money that they make and the profit that they make. And frankly, I'd be wondering how these people sleep at night.
Well, I love how you talk about aligned values. That's something I like to talk about a lot too, because I've seen in my personal journey as an entrepreneur, it was very critical for me to get to that place where I understood what my values are. And this is even separate from my business values. You have core values for your business, but you personally, especially if you're a business owner, need to know what your values are. Otherwise, what can happen is you'll give up, you'll get burnt out, and you might not be able to achieve your end goal. when you don't have values alignment.
Absolutely. And you could lose yourself if your values aren't aligned with your goals for success. You could lose yourself. I mean, we see people selling their souls all the time.
It's a great tool for decision making
Absolutely. A moral compass, right?
in all areas of life.
That's what I'm talking about, no doubt.
I want to go back to your second pillar. You talked about endurance, which has a direct correlation with momentum. I'm curious, in your personal life, how do you stay on that track with endurance?
I got to keep it live with you. I mean, I can absolutely stray. I can procrastinate with the best of them.
Best.
You feel me? It's funny, though. I think that there's something about the maintenance of your passion that'll keep the endurance going. Like, how do you maintain your passion for what it is that you're doing? And in maintaining it, endurance becomes second nature. And then, of course, there's discipline. And I'm not a type A personality, but I can get on a schedule, you know what I'm saying? I can get disciplined. For example, if I'm working on a track and I know I only have so much time in the day, I'm doing my movement work, my social and restorative justice work during the day, I know that at night I can get to work on the music. And it's also, this is especially important, I think, for creative types like us. It's like important to know what your vibe is. In the evening time, I just turn on this red light, bedroom producer, and get busy. And then it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, know thyself. And then what your passion will guide you. And it will manifest in what you create.
Well, I like how you talked about the red light and it being after dark, because there's a technical term for this. It's called anchors. So you can create an anchor with your brain or your subconscious mind so that every time you're in that type of environment, then you understand it's time to do a particular action. So for example, I have a strip of LED lights at the bottom frame of my walls in my bedroom, which is also my office area. And I can change the colors.
Dope.
So what I typically do is...
dope. You might have to put me on.
Yeah. Actually, I think I might have the link on my website. I will send it to you. So what you do is, well, what I do, I should say, not what you do. What you do. What I do is I've anchored certain colors with different types of activities. So when it's time to go to bed, I change it to yellow. When I'm working, it's either purple or blue. When I am chilling, it's teal. So, etc.
That's dope.
And it takes at least 28 days to build a habit. So you have to do it consistently. But over time, it's like a subconscious signal for your brain to know, like, oh, it's time to work. Oh, it's time to sleep.
Right, right. Yeah, it's funny, though, because Quincy Jones has this concept that he talked about, the alpha state. You know, are you familiar with that?
The different brain states.
Right, right. And, you know, you can't fight that because it happens so automatically. You ever been woken up in the middle of the night with a music idea? When that happens, lean into it. It's a blessing.
Yeah, it's from the universe. It's from source. It's from God. It's from whoever you think is out there greater than us. All right. So the next question is, what was a roadblock that you had to overcome in your path to success, and how did you overcome it?
Woo! Roadblocks. You see how I put a S on that?
Not just one.
Real rap. Let me try to be real specific here. Actually, first, we cussing on this podcast, right? Well, yo, I used to always be like, fuck school. Had a chip on my shoulder, real defiant about this whole notion, this whole concept of so-called higher education, getting this paper to prove my worth. You know, this very capitalistic, white supremacist, westernized idea of proving my worth with this damn degree or whatever, right? I used to really have a chip on my shoulder about that. Actually, I still do. I really do have my feelings about it. But I was like, all right, you know what? As a black person in this country, we've been playing a game. We know what it is. So if I'm capable of doing this, getting this little punk-ass degree or whatever, right? Like, fuck it, let me knock this shit out. So 9 years ago, adult student, went back to school, got my degree from UC Berkeley, of all places. And then bing, bang, bong. I graduated, and it was kicking the door, waving the 4-4 style. And that degree, of course, opened doors and led me on the path of my career and whatnot. But it was also like taking the fuel of my resistance and resilience. You dig?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely had adversity towards school in the past too. And part of it was my upbringing, because as I was growing up, it was instilled into my mind that you cannot be successful unless you have a 4-year degree. And I hated school from the beginning. It was difficult to get up. I didn't really understand the point of math and integers and all that. My favorite subject was actually history. I love that, which makes sense because I'm an SEO expert, which is based on historical data.
SEO expert.
Search engine optimization.
Okay.
Ranking higher on Google. So what ended up happening is that I got accepted to San Jose State for computer science, because at the time I was really into web development and code and everything. But I ended up quitting after about 6 months. And then I proceeded to go to every single community college throughout the Bay Area and meet people.
The whole school system?
Yeah, everywhere. Beyond that, like South Bay, everywhere. DVC, everywhere. And I took all the electives.
Interesting.
So I took everything from entertainment law to creative writing to everything.
Yo, this is funny. We've known each other for 26 years and we never
talked about education.
Yeah, exactly.
The funny thing about this is I ended up getting a degree at Heald because I wanted a business degree. But ever since then, I've gone back to Cal State Hayward and UC Berkeley, but always the extensions, so I could take the certification and advanced programs in a very short amount of time. I think for me, it's less about not liking school, because I started loving school after I went to college. It was more so about the duration of time. Like, I like to learn very quickly and then apply to whatever it is I'm doing at the time.
Right. And I feel you. I mean, there's also something to being older and knowing exactly what you want to do while you're in school.
So much has changed now. I mean, you can even get an online degree through any one of these colleges, or you could get your master's online.
Exactly.
So it'll be interesting to see how learning in general changes within the next 10 to 20 years. So last question is, what advice would you give to anyone that's looking to achieve success and listening to this podcast today?
Yo, know who you are, know what you're about, know what you stand for. And I know I mentioned that earlier in the podcast when we talked about the 3 pillars and being aligned with your values. But I think it's fundamental. It's your moral compass, period. And that's going to guide you, especially in the face of what we're dealing with all the social media out there, with all these unrealistic ideals and so much shit that we got to wade through. You got to know who you are when you trudge through that. You got people dying, chasing success out here, chasing shit that's not even real. And I mean, it's not even people's fault that they fall for the okie doke the way that they do. You got these major corporations, some of these social media platforms that bank off of exploitation. So my advice is to calibrate your moral compass. Being grounded will not only contribute to your success, but shit, it might save your life.
We're getting ready to wrap up here, but is there anything you want to share with the audience?
Yo, well, first and foremost, much love to you for having me on, for real. I appreciate it. It is a bug out that we're finally sitting down to do this after rocking with each other for 26 years. Well, sitting down at least in the public eye, right? But you and I mean, we have so much on deck that we're working on, movement work and whatnot. Maybe that is another podcast. But in the meantime, check out your man's 26-track lo-fi chill hop album streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your music online, called I Need Time to Chill. Smooth, instrumental hip-hop, live instrumentation. Got the live hop on there, got the upright bass, live guitar, Fender Rose, fly shit.
And that's HYP, HYP.
That's right.
Thanks so much for joining us here at the 3 Pillars of Success podcast. And for those of you who are listening, remember to like, share, subscribe, follow, all of that. Oh, and comment as well. Let us know what you think about this, because all of those things really make a difference for increasing our following and other people wanting to listen to the podcast too. And if you are an organization or a business that wants to sponsor this podcast, you can definitely hit me up. My email is findme@geraldineconvento.com.
Get at her.
So till next time, peace.
One love.